The cry for refuge rises from the deepest places of the human spirit. Every heart knows moments when strength feels thin, when certainty slips from the fingers, when the weight of life presses hard against the soul. In those moments, the Psalms become more than poetry. They become breath. They become shelter. They become the language of a spirit reaching upward for the one who never fails. The power of the Psalms is not in polished words, but in honest yearning. You see yourself in every line. You hear your own fear in David's trembling requests. You feel your own hope ignited in his declarations of victory. These ancient prayers speak to you because they were forged in the heat of real battles, real tears, real loneliness, real triumphs. They were born in caves and on battlefields, in silence and in songs, in confusion and in revelation. They mirror your life more closely than you often admit. Your spirit recognizes their rhythm because every line whispers a truth you already know. You were not designed to carry life alone. You were shaped to find refuge in the one who stands unshaken when everything around you trembles. That is why your heart is drawn to these words. They echo your own cry for safety. They affirm your longing for certainty. They remind you that you are seen, known, and surrounded even when everything feels uncertain. You feel the pull of Psalm 46, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This is not a distant declaration. It is the anchor for every weary moment you have ever lived. When the storms of your emotions rise, when the noise of your thoughts becomes loud, when the pressure of life pushes you to the edge, these words lift your gaze and steady your breath. They remind you that your safety is not in your own power, but in the presence that never leaves you. Every heart cries for refuge. You know the feeling of waking up with a weight that words cannot explain. You know the quiet ache that sits behind your ribs, the unspoken worry sitting beneath your calm exterior. Yet even in that place, the Psalms teach you to reach for the rock that is higher than your fears, higher than your memories, higher than your battles, higher than anything that tries to shake your purpose. There is a reason your spirit gravitates toward these prayers. They do not pretend that life is easy. They do not deny the existence of darkness. They do not hide the trembling of the soul. Instead, they show you what to do with it. They lead you into the presence that strengthens, heals, restores, and realigns you. They remind you that God does not wait for you to be fearless. He meets you in your trembling and becomes your courage. The human cry for refuge is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of awareness. It means your heart recognizes that there is a place where fear cannot settle, where heaviness cannot rule, where anxiety loses its voice. Your spirit knows this place because it was created in the presence of God. When you read the Psalms, you are not learning something new. You are remembering something eternal. Every line of Psalm 61 pulls you upward. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. That cry belongs to you. That longing lives inside you. You feel it when life becomes too heavy to carry alone. You feel it when disappointment tries to write the next chapter of your story. You feel it when the night grows long and the answers feel far away. The heart does not search for escape. It searches for elevation. It searches for the rock. This is why the Psalms remain powerful across generations. They do not lose their strength. They do not lose their relevance. They speak to the core of the human experience and pull you into the eternal nature of God. The honesty of David does not weaken your faith. It strengthens it. It tells you that God is not intimidated by your tears. He is not threatened by your questions. He is not distant from your trembling. He remains your refuge in every season. Your heart cries for refuge because you were not created to stand exposed to the storms of life. You were created to be held, covered, lifted, guided. You were created to rest beneath the wings of the Almighty, where chaos cannot drown your hope. When you read the Psalms, you are stepping into the safety your spirit has always known. So hear this truth settle inside you. When your heart feels faint, you are not failing. You are being guided back to the rock. When your strength feels thin, you are not collapsing. You are being invited into the refuge that never shifts. When fear whispers that you are alone, the Psalms overturn that lie and remind you that the presence of God is the safest place you will ever stand. This is the heart of the Psalms. This is the cry of every human spirit. This is the refuge your life depends on. And as you step into this day, your heart rises with the same ancient cry. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Morning surrender begins the moment your spirit chooses to loosen its grip on yesterday. Every unspoken worry, every hidden weight, every quiet ache that tried to follow you into this new day loses its authority. When your heart turns fully toward the presence of God, this is where the true reset happens. Not in the body waking up, but in the heart releasing what it was never meant to carry. Surrender is not defeat. It is alignment. It is the recognition that your strength alone is not the source of your stability. It is the inward shift that turns your gaze from pressure to presence. When your heart bows before God at the start of the day, every battle that waits ahead is already met with a strength greater than your own. Your spirit knows this. That is why surrender feels like breathing again. There is a purity in coming before God without pretense. No performance, no forced composure, no pretending that the night did not leave its marks. Morning surrender invites you to meet God honestly, carrying nothing but the truth of how you feel and the faith of who you know Him to be. He receives both. He strengthens both. He walks through both. Gratitude becomes the first step in opening your heart. The breath in your lungs, the beating of your heart, the chance to awaken to another day. These are not small things. They are reminders that purpose still calls you forward. They are reminders that the hand of God has not withdrawn from your life. When gratitude rises, heaviness loses room to breathe. Opening your heart before God is not an emotional performance. It is the steady unclenching of everything you try to manage alone. It is the moment you acknowledge that the one who formed you is also the one who sustains you. It is letting His presence settle into the spaces where fear once lingered. It is letting His peace quiet the noise you could not silence. It is letting His strength replace the weakness you try to hide. Your heart grows weary when it carries burdens designed to be surrendered. Your soul feels heavy when it tries to solve what only grace can heal. Morning surrender lifts that weight piece by piece. It teaches your spirit to stand tall without forcing your body to pretend. It allows you to breathe deeply without the pressure of yesterday choking your hope. When doubts try to rise, surrender anchors you. When fear whispers, surrender answers with truth. When your emotions waver, surrender restores stability. This is why David cried from the ends of the earth, "Lead me to the rock that is higher than I." It was not poetry, it was survival. It was a heart reaching upward because downward was too heavy to endure. You know that feeling. That is why the Psalm speaks so directly to you. God meets you the moment you surrender. Not after you tidy your thoughts. Not after you fix your flaws. Not after you gather strength. He meets you exactly where you are and begins the work from within. His presence carries what your hands cannot. His peace settles where your understanding fails. His love covers the places where your confidence once broke. Your heart opens more easily when you stop resisting the help you were designed to receive. You do not need to hold yourself together for God. You only need to come as you are. The surrender He looks for is not dramatic. It is genuine. It is the soft whisper that admits, I cannot carry this alone. It is the quiet moment when your soul breathes out its exhaustion. It is the simple act of letting God be God. Morning surrender strengthens your inner world long before the outer world demands anything from you. It prepares you to walk through uncertainty without being undone by it. It prepares you to make decisions with clarity instead of confusion. It prepares you to face challenges with peace instead of panic. It prepares you to hear God more clearly because the noise inside you has been quieted. Let this truth settle deeply. Surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the posture that lifts your spirit above the weight of your circumstances. It is the opening that allows God to pour strength where you feel empty, courage where you feel hesitant, and clarity where you feel lost. It is the doorway through which peace enters the spaces once occupied by fear. Every morning you open your heart, you realign your life with divine order. You bring your thoughts back under truth. You bring your emotions back under grace. You bring your steps back under the leading of the one who sees the full path ahead. This is how you begin a day with strength that does not waver. This is how you rise with confidence even when life feels uncertain. Morning surrender is the quiet victory that determines how every other battle will unfold. When you start in the presence of God, you carry the presence of God into everything that follows. This is where your day begins. This is where your strength is restored. This is where your heart opens. And this is where grace meets you with power that does not fail. Strength rises when your spirit acknowledges its need for the one who never runs out of power. Every new day brings its own demands, its own decisions, and its own invisible weight. That is why your heart instinctively reaches upward before your feet touch the ground. You know that walking into a new day without divine strength is like stepping into a storm without shelter. Your spirit understands this long before your thoughts do. Wisdom becomes the next cry of the heart. Not the wisdom that comes from experience alone, but the wisdom that sees beyond what the natural eye can interpret. Life will present paths that look similar but carry different outcomes. It will offer opportunities that shine on the surface but lack the substance of purpose. Without wisdom, your steps become uncertain. With wisdom, every decision aligns with the path heaven has already prepared. You know the difference because your spirit feels the pull toward clarity. You long to walk in understanding that does not come from your own insight, but from the voice that guides you into truth. Peace enters the soul when wisdom settles. Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the stillness that holds you steady in the middle of it. Peace does not erase challenges. It prevents challenges from erasing you. When your mind grows restless, when your thoughts scatter, when your emotions rise and fall like unpredictable waves, peace becomes the anchor that prevents your spirit from drifting. This is why your heart cries for it, because a day without peace feels heavier than a day full of tasks. Courage completes this posture. Strength begins the journey. Wisdom directs it. Peace steadies it. Courage carries it forward. Courage does not require the absence of fear. It only requires the refusal to bow to it. Courage rises when your spirit decides that purpose matters more than pressure. It appears when you choose movement, even when uncertainty tries to argue for stillness. It shows up at the threshold of every new step you take. This cry for strength, wisdom, peace, and courage is not a sign of inadequacy. It is a sign of alignment. It means your spirit understands the weight of the day and chooses to meet it with heaven's resources instead of your own. It means you refuse to carry the day in your own power. It means you recognize the difference between self-reliance and divine reliance. There is a moment in every morning when your soul repeats the same silent confession. I need more than I have within myself. This is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the understanding that the God who held your yesterday is the only one who can secure your today. When you acknowledge this, the atmosphere around your life begins to shift. Strength begins to settle. Wisdom begins to rise. Peace begins to cover. Courage begins to awaken. Strength comes when your spirit admits its limits. Wisdom comes when your heart opens to instruction. Peace comes when your mind yields to divine presence instead of internal chaos. Courage comes when you refuse to let fear sit in the seat of decision. These four qualities work together like the pillars of a strong foundation. Remove one and the structure weakens. Strength without wisdom can lead to misplaced effort. Wisdom without peace can produce hesitation. Peace without courage can lead to stagnation. Courage without strength can falter under pressure. But together they create a life that stands, moves, and overcomes. You know the weight of a day that feels too large for your shoulders. You know the exhaustion that appears when strength fades. You know the confusion that rises when wisdom feels distant. You know the mental noise that steals peace. You know the hesitation that weakens courage. Yet every time you cry for these four gifts, something shifts. The cry itself becomes the doorway for God to move. This is why the Psalms echo these same longings again and again. The heart of David was shaped by this cry. He needed strength to face battles greater than his ability. He needed wisdom to navigate decisions that shape nations. He needed peace to silence the storms that raged both outside him and within him. He needed courage to rise when everything around him demanded he stay still. Your life mirrors these same needs because your purpose carries weight. In a new day, you do not ask for comfort alone. You ask for capacity, strength to carry what is required, wisdom to discern the right way, peace to maintain clarity, courage to move without hesitation. These four gifts shape the quality of your day more than circumstances ever could. Circumstances shift constantly. The heart anchored in these four qualities remains steady. Strength for the body, wisdom for the mind, peace for the emotions, courage for the spirit. This is the alignment that prepares you to walk into the day with stability and purpose. It is the foundation that prevents pressure from overwhelming your clarity. It is the structure that keeps your spirit elevated above the noise of life. Let this truth settle deeply. God does not expect you to begin the day fully composed. He expects you to begin open. Strength meets the open heart. Wisdom enters the open mind. Peace covers the open soul. Courage fills the open spirit. The cry for these gifts is not the sign of someone unprepared. It is a sign of someone who chooses to begin rightly aligned. This is how you step into a new day with confidence. Not because the day is light, but because your heart is anchored. Not because life is predictable, but because your posture is steady. Not because challenges disappear, but because you carry what the day cannot defeat. Strength for your steps, wisdom for your decisions, peace for your inner world, courage for your future. This is the cry of a heart aligned with God. This is the posture that shapes the day ahead. Fearless trust begins where the word becomes more than information. It becomes the ground your spirit stands on. Every time life presses against you, every time uncertainty rises, every time your heart feels stretched thin, Scripture answers with a strength that does not bend. The Psalms repeat the same truth with unwavering clarity. God is present. God is near. God is your refuge. God is your strength. These are not poetic comforts. These are survival anchors that steady your soul when everything else feels unstable. Fear loses its authority the moment truth takes its place. The human spirit does not become fearless by suppressing emotion. It becomes fearless by surrendering to a reality stronger than emotion. Psalm 46 speaks with this force. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. The power of this verse lies in the word present. Not distant, not delayed, not occasional. Present. Your battles do not intimidate him. Your storms do not confuse him. Your weakness does not repel him. His presence stands inside the very trouble you want to escape. This is why trust becomes effortless when scripture begins to shape your inner world. The word lifts your perspective. It quiets your worries. It interrupts the lies that fear tries to speak. When your spirit absorbs truth, fear loses vocabulary. When your mind meditates on truth, anxiety loses momentum. When your heart embraces truth, doubt loses its foundation. Divine presence is not an abstract idea. It is the invisible strength that surrounds you even when you cannot feel it. It is the gentle weight that settles on your shoulders when you pray. It is the clarity that rises in your thoughts when confusion begins to fade. It is the peace that covers you in moments when panic once ruled. Divine presence transforms environments without permission from circumstances. It stabilizes you when everything else shakes. Psalm 91 strengthens this understanding. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. This is the picture heaven gives you. Not isolation, not abandonment, coverage, shelter, embrace, the kind of protection that surrounds you so completely that danger loses access and fear loses justification. This is the scriptural guarantee you stand on when life becomes unpredictable. Fearless trust is not built overnight. It grows. Every time you choose the promise over the pressure, it strengthens every time you choose scripture over emotion. It deepens every time you let God interpret your situation instead of your fears doing it for you. When the Psalms declare that God is your fortress, they are not speaking metaphorically. They are describing the spiritual reality that surrounds your life, even when your senses are unaware of it. Divine presence ensures you are never walking alone. It means your steps are not unprotected. It means your thoughts are not unsupported. It means your journey is not unaccompanied. When David spoke of God as a shepherd, a rock, a shield, a strong tower, he was describing the layers of divine involvement that surround every believer. Your spirit flourishes when it understands this. You stop shrinking under pressure because you realize you are not the one carrying the weight. This is the foundation that produces fearless trust. Not human strength, not positive thinking, not emotional control. Scripture, presence, truth, alignment. These are the elements that anchor your inner world. These are the realities that keep you steady when circumstances shift. These are the truths that remind you fear is a temporary visitor, but God is a permanent refuge. There is something I want to ask you with gentleness and sincerity. Are you still here with me? If you are, let your presence be seen with a like. It lets me know your heart is still engaged. It tells me you are receiving this foundation with openness. It reminds me that your desire to grow is alive. And that presence is something I deeply appreciate. Your journey matters. Your voice matters. And knowing you are here brings value to every word being shared. Fearless trust begins to rise when you stop looking at life through the lens of uncertainty and start looking at it through the lens of scripture. The word does not shift when seasons change. It does not weaken when emotions fluctuate. It does not fade when circumstances intensify. It remains solid. It remains certain. It remains true. Divine presence does not withdraw when you feel overwhelmed. It covers you. It steadies you. It aligns you. It speaks into the places silence once filled. It lifts you from the inside until the outside begins to change. When your heart recognizes this, trust becomes instinct instead of effort. You no longer ask if God is near. You walk as someone who knows He is. Let this truth shape the way you face the rest of your day. You are not moving alone. You are not deciding alone. You are not fighting alone. You are surrounded. You are strengthened. You are covered. Scripture is the foundation under your feet. Presence is the shield around your life. And trust is the posture that keeps your spirit steady and unshaken. Fearless trust is possible because God is present. Divine presence is powerful because the word affirms it. And your heart becomes courageous when it stands firmly on both. Protection becomes real when your spirit recognizes that God surrounds you more completely than any threat that rises against you. Every unseen danger, every silent battle, every hidden pressure loses strength. The moment His covering settles over your life, the Psalms reveal this again and again. You are not walking through the world exposed. You are moving under a shield designed by heaven itself. There is a depth in the way God protects. It is not a distant oversight. It is an active presence. It is the nearness that stands between you and what was meant to harm you. It is the invisible wall that cannot be crossed by the plans of darkness. When Scripture declares that He commands His angels concerning you, it is describing a protection that functions with purpose, strategy, and divine intelligence. Nothing in your life goes unnoticed. Nothing rises against you without being met by the authority that covers you. Healing flows from this same presence. Healing is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet restoration happening in the places you thought would never recover. Sometimes it is the strength returning to your mind after seasons of exhaustion. Sometimes it is the peace settling into your heart after nights spent wrestling with fear. Healing is the evidence that God is not only protecting your life but repairing what life tried to damage. Angelic covering operates in ways the natural eye cannot see. You are shielded from attacks you never recognized. You are preserved from dangers you never felt. You are guided away from places where harm waited. You are surrounded by a presence that monitors every step you take. Angels respond to the word spoken over your life. They enforce divine intention. They disrupt the plans of the enemy before those plans can reach you. Every movement of heaven on your behalf is deliberate. There are moments when your spirit feels this covering, even if you cannot explain it. The sudden calm in a moment of panic, the unexpected clarity in a moment of confusion, the gentle strength rising in a moment of weakness. These are signs that you are not walking through life unprotected. These are signs that the hand of God remains firmly upon you. Protection is not the absence of storms. It is the assurance that storms cannot consume you. Healing is not the denial of wounds. It is the promise that wounds will not define you. Angelic covering is not a luxury. It is part of your inheritance. It is a provision that follows you because God has already claimed you as His own. Psalm 91 forms the backbone of this assurance. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. This picture speaks of warmth, safety, nearness. It speaks of a covering so complete that danger loses sight of you. It reveals a love that positions itself between you and every form of darkness. It shows you that protection is not based on your strength. It is based on His presence. When protection becomes revelation, worry begins to fade. When healing becomes personal, hope begins to rise. When angelic covering becomes understood, courage begins to grow. These are not separate experiences. They are connected movements of God working within and around you. They strengthen your inner world until fear no longer has the power to shape your decisions. Your life is not a target waiting to be struck. Your life is a vessel being guarded for purpose. Every purpose of God requires protection and healing because the enemy always seeks to fracture what God intends to use. That is why the covering over your life is proactive. It goes ahead of you, it surrounds you, it remains behind you. There is no direction where His presence is absent. Healing restores what has been weakened. Protection holds what has been restored. Angelic covering ensures what has been protected continues forward without disruption. This is the divine flow that accompanies every believer who understands the power of the Psalms. It is the assurance that God does not simply watch over you. He actively keeps you. When you walk into this day, this covering walks with you. When you rest, this protection does not sleep. When you face moments that feel overwhelming, this presence strengthens your spirit before panic can settle. When you encounter pressures that feel larger than your capacity, this covering enlarges your capacity so the pressure cannot break you. There is no threat greater than the one who defends you. There is no sickness stronger than the God who heals you. There is no darkness deeper than the light that surrounds you. And there is no plan formed against you that can bypass the angels assigned to your life. Let this truth remain steady in you. You are covered. You are shielded. You are defended. You are preserved. Your steps are guarded. Your nights are watched over. Your mind is held steady. Your heart is kept safe. What God covers cannot be snatched away. What God protects cannot be taken. What God heals cannot be undone by the past. This is the prayer woven through the Psalms. This is the assurance spoken over your life. This is the covering that surrounds you as you move forward. Protection above you. Healing within you. Angels around you. Presence guiding you. And peace settling over every part of your day. Identity begins to fracture when the pressures of life speak louder than the truth written over your destiny. Weariness shows up not only in the body but in the spirit, settling quietly into the places where confidence once lived. Feeling unseen does not mean you are forgotten. Feeling uncertain does not mean you are without direction. These states reveal the moments when your identity needs to be restored by the voice of the one who formed you. Restoration begins when truth is reintroduced to the heart. You are not shaped by exhaustion. You are not defined by the silence of others. You are not measured by the moments when clarity seems far away. Identity does not come from emotions. Identity does not come from circumstances. Identity comes from God, and when He speaks, the confusion around your life begins to lose its grip. The Psalms reflect this deeply when David felt pursued. If he remembered he was chosen, when he felt small, he remembered he was strengthened. When he felt unseen, he remembered he was known. His identity remained intact, not because his seasons were easy, but because the voice of God carried more authority than the weight of his battles. Your life mirrors this same truth. No season has the right to rename you. Weariness often begins with the quiet erosion of self-perception. You start to measure yourself by what is missing, by what has not happened yet, by what others fail to see. But heaven never adjusts your identity based on temporary conditions. You are not less called because doors are closed. You are not less valuable because moments feel quiet. You are not less capable because the path ahead is unclear. Identity restoration pulls you back into alignment with what has always been true. Feeling unseen is one of the most subtle pressures of the human heart. It creates questions where none existed before. It whispers that your efforts go unnoticed, that your prayers are unheard, that your presence does not matter. But scripture confronts this quietly destructive thought. You are held in the sight of the one who never loses track of you. Psalm 139 declares that every detail of your life is fully known. You are surrounded by the attention of God even when people fail to notice you. Uncertainty often appears when the future refuses to reveal itself. It is not a sign that you lack purpose. It is a sign that you are being guided step by step. God does not restore identity by giving you a full map. He restores it by anchoring your heart so firmly in truth that uncertainty cannot produce fear. You do not need to see everything ahead. You only need to remember who you are as you walk into it. Identity restoration reaches into the deeper layers of the heart. It strengthens the places where doubt once lived. It reinforces the parts of you that grew quiet under pressure. It replaces the weight of comparison with the clarity of purpose. It reveals that your worth has never been tied to recognition. Your value has never depended on applause. Your identity has never been fragile. It has always been rooted in God. When you feel weary, restoration begins by reminding you that your strength is not sourced from your circumstances. When you feel unseen, restoration reminds you that divine attention surrounds you even in silence. When you feel uncertain, restoration reminds you that direction does not come from clarity alone, but from trust in the one guiding your steps. The voice of God does not speak to your performance. It speaks to your essence. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are called according to purpose. You are carried by love that does not falter. You are supported by grace that does not weaken. You are sustained by presence that does not withdraw. Identity restoration becomes complete when these truths rise louder than the noise within you. The weary heart is not broken. It is simply tired, and tired hearts can be restored. The unseen heart is not rejected. It is being prepared, and prepared hearts grow stronger. The uncertain heart is not lost. It is being recalibrated, and recalibrated hearts walk with deeper wisdom. Restoration is not an instant shift. It is a steady unfolding of truth. The more you hear it, the more you remember who you are. The more you embrace it, the more your confidence returns, the more you align with it. The more your steps regain strength. Identity is not rebuilt by effort. It is rebuilt by presence. When God speaks into your life, everything weak inside you begins to rise. Let this settle deeply. You are not overlooked. You are not undervalued. You are not abandoned. You are not drifting. You are held, guided, known, strengthened. Everything about your life is watched over with intention. Everything about your destiny has been crafted with purpose. Everything within you that has grown quiet will rise again. Identity restoration lifts your head. It steadies your heart. It renews your courage. It places truth back into the center of who you are. It reminds you that even in seasons of weariness, you remain chosen. Even in moments of feeling unseen, you remain deeply known. Even in times of uncertainty, you remain guided. Nothing about your identity is unstable. It rests on a foundation that cannot be shaken. The Spirit moves with intention when the heart grows dim. Every believer knows the moment when inner fire weakens, when passion feels distant, when faith steadies itself only by memory. Yet the Spirit never leaves the flame to die out. Renewal is His nature. Restoration is His rhythm. Fire is His language. When He pours Himself out, the tired heart begins to breathe again, and the dim flame becomes a source of strength instead of a reminder of weakness. The outpouring of the Spirit does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes as a gentle stirring inside you, A quiet shift that reminds your spirit of what it was created to carry. It begins in the unseen, a soft warmth in a cold place, a whisper where silence once controlled, a sudden clarity where confusion had settled. This is how fire returns. Not in dramatic displays, but in steady reassurance that the spirit has not withdrawn. Inner fire weakens when distractions multiply, when emotional weight sits too long, when unanswered prayers create quiet disappointment, when the heart grows weary from battles no one else sees. But the spirit specializes in awakening what life tried to drain. His outpouring reaches the places where strength has thinned. His presence touches the areas you thought were beyond revival. Renewal begins at the exact point your spirit thought it could not rise again. Scripture reveals this pattern countless times. Whenever weariness touched the people of God, the Spirit breathed life into them. When Elijah felt defeated, the Spirit strengthened him for the journey ahead. When David felt crushed, in the Spirit restored the joy of his salvation. When the disciples felt uncertain, the Spirit filled them with boldness. The same power moves in you now. Fire does not vanish. It waits for breath, and the Spirit breathes with precision. The renewal of inner fire is not based on emotion. It is based on surrender. The moment your heart admits its dryness, the Spirit begins to flow. When you acknowledge your hunger, the outpouring becomes tangible. Hunger attracts presence. Surrender invites fire. Openness creates room for renewal. These are the conditions where inner fire returns with force. The Spirit revives what complacency tried to suffocate. He disrupts the heaviness that sits on the soul. He breaks the stillness that was never meant to define you. The fire he brings is not merely passion. It is purpose. It is clarity. It is courage. It is the spiritual energy that pushes your destiny forward when your natural strength stalls. Fire does not only warm, it propels. There is a shift that happens when the Spirit moves. Thoughts begin to clear. The mind becomes sharper. Peace settles more deeply. Hope rises more boldly. Even your physical posture changes when inner fire is revived. You stand differently. You breathe differently. You step differently. Renewal inside creates movement outside. Every believer experiences seasons where they feel distant or muted. These moments are not evidence of failure. They are invitations for encounter. Inner dryness is often the sign that a new measure of the Spirit is approaching. God does not expose a need without preparing an answer. The outpouring is always proportional to the level of hunger. When the heart cries quietly for renewal, heaven responds loudly with presence. The Spirit restores without condemnation. He does not remind you of the days you felt stronger. He reignites the strength that still belongs to you. It does not point to the moments you felt distant. He closes the distance with his nearness. He does not highlight your weakness. He fills your weakness with his power. This is the nature of divine renewal. Gentle, precise, transformative. Inner fire returns when truth replaces fatigue. When promise replaces fear. When presence replaces emptiness. When divine strength replaces worn-out effort. This is why the Psalms often shift from despair to confidence within a few lines. The Spirit reveals truth to the heart, and the heart responds with renewed fire. David cried out, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation," and the Spirit answered, because joy is fire. Joy strengthens. Joy lifts. Joy revives. Renewal is not a moment. It is a flow. Once the Spirit pours himself out, the flame does not simply revive, it grows. It stretches into areas where you once hesitated. It lights up dreams that had grown quiet. It reawakens disciplines that had weakened. It restores confidence that had faded. Fire purifies as it burns. Clarity grows as it shines. Courage returns as it strengthens. This is the work happening in you. The Spirit is touching the hidden places. He's reigniting the embers left from seasons of weariness. He's awakening what was dormant. He's giving breath to what felt suffocated. He's guiding you back to a place of inner strength that does not depend on circumstance. The outpouring of the Spirit does not leave you as it found you. It lifts you, it steadies you, it equips you, it prepares you, it places fire in your steps and conviction in your voice. It restores purpose and sharpens vision. The renewal of inner fire becomes more than personal strength. It becomes a signal that God is positioning you for what comes next. This renewal is already unfolding. The flame within you is rising again. The Spirit is stirring, and the fire that once dimmed is burning with new life. Intercession carries a weight that touches the unseen battles of those who cannot lift their own prayers. Every life holds moments too heavy to articulate. Moments where the heart breaks quietly and the mind grows weary from thoughts that never find rest. There are people moving through their days with hidden wounds, carrying burdens that never reach their lips. Intercession reaches those places. It becomes the bridge between their weakness and the strength of God. Brokenness does not always appear through visible collapse. Sometimes it appears in quiet resignation, in the sigh no one hears, in the numbness that replaces tears. Sometimes it shows itself in the struggle to rise from bed, in the forced smile, in the attempts to appear strong when strength has run out. These are the soul's intercession touches. It steps into the silence where their voices have faded. Hopelessness grows when disappointment repeats itself. When prayers feel unanswered, when doors stay closed longer than the heart expected, when circumstances refuse to shift, hope begins to dim quietly. Yet the presence of God does not retreat from hopeless places. His compassion becomes strongest where despair tries to take root. Intercession carries this compassion like a river, reaching hearts unaware that help is already moving toward them. Silent struggles often live in the shadows of daily life. They hide beneath responsibilities, behind obligations, under the need to keep functioning. These battles are the ones no one sees, the ones fought in the mind, in the thoughts that wake a person at night, in the emotions that never fully calm. Intercession steps into this hidden battlefield, not with noise, but with authority. It covers what cannot be spoken. The Psalms reflect this rhythm deeply. When David felt overwhelmed, he cried from the depths. When he felt forgotten, he poured out his spirit before God. His intercession for himself became the language for generations who would face the same silent battles. The beauty of these prayers lies in their honesty. They show that God meets his people at the exact place where strength fails. Intercession for the broken begins with recognition. You acknowledge that some hearts are carrying wounds they do not know how to express. Some minds are fighting fears too tangled to explain. Some spirits are tired from battles that stretch over long seasons. When you intercede, you carry them into the presence of God with the strength they no longer have. You lift what has fallen. You speak for what has gone quiet. You support what has grown frail. Intercession for the hopeless is an act of rebellion against despair. It stands between a life and the darkness trying to settle over it. It declares that the story is not over. It calls for light into places that feel abandoned. It invites divine intervention into circumstances that seem stubbornly unmovable. Hope can be restored in a moment when heaven touches what human effort could not shift. Intercession for the silent struggling is delicate. It carries tenderness and authority at the same time. It does not expose their pain. It shields it. It does not pry into their wounds. It protects them. It does not demand confession. It covers them. Intercession whispers strength into their spirit even when their own voice is muted. It draws the attention of heaven to a heart too tired to reach upward. There is a spiritual law at work in this type of prayer. When you lift others, you become a vessel for the compassion of God. When you pray for the broken, something in you strengthens. When you intercede for the hopeless, hope rises in your own soul. When you cover the silent struggling, you become aligned with the heart of God who sees every hidden burden. Intercession is not passive. It disrupts the plans of darkness. It interrupts cycles of discouragement. It weakens the grip of fear. It speaks life into someone who forgot how to hope. It calls peace into environments filled with turmoil. It restores clarity where confusion has lingered too long. Intercession is warfare in its gentlest form and comfort in its strongest expression. The broken are not beyond repair. The hopeless are not beyond rescue. The silent struggling are not beyond reach. Their condition does not scare heaven. Their weakness does not limit God. Their silence does not hide them from his attention. Intercession reminds them that they are surrounded even when they feel isolated. The heart of intercession mirrors the nature of God. It lifts, restores, strengthens, and protects. It moves into the lonely spaces and fills them with presence. It reaches into the tired spirit and breathes life. It confronts the darkness with a light that cannot be extinguished. It stands in the gap when someone cannot stand for themselves. Let this truth settle in you. Every broken heart is seen. Every hopeless soul is pursued. Every silent struggle is known. Intercession connects these lives to the strength that does not waver. It becomes the unseen support that keeps them from collapsing. It becomes the gentle hand that steadies them. It becomes the shield that guards them until they rise again. This is more than prayer. It is participation in the healing work of God. It is the restoration of lives weakened by burden. It is the renewal of hope crushed by disappointment. It is the lifting of hearts too tired to speak. Intercession surrounds the broken, strengthens the hopeless, and restores the silent struggling with a compassion that never fails. Breakthrough begins the moment your spirit aligns with the truth that nothing standing against you has the authority to remain. Every barrier, every delay, every closed door responds to the voice of God. When you declare breakthrough, you are not speaking from human optimism. You are speaking from spiritual alignment. You are echoing what heaven has already prepared. Favor follows those who understand timing. Favor is not random. It is intentional. It rests on lives that walk in agreement with divine purpose. When favor moves, it accelerates what should have taken years. It opens paths that effort alone could never unlock. It positions you in places where human qualification cannot take credit. Favor is divine movement visible in earthly moments. Timing is the dimension that governs breakthrough. There are seasons when God protects you by withholding what you thought you were ready for. There are moments when delay is not a denial but a safeguarding. There are steps that must align, people who must enter your path, and details that must mature before the door opens. Divine timing is not slow. It is precise. When the moment arrives, nothing can resist it. Open doors are the evidence of divine orchestration. A door God opens is not fragile. It does not tremble under pressure. It does not require force. It requires alignment. When God opens a door, it fits your assignment. It matches your season. It brings clarity instead of confusion. It carries peace instead of anxiety. Every open door is marked by purpose. Declarations matter because they shift your inner posture. When you declare breakthrough, your mind stops negotiating with limitation. When you declare favor, your heart stops entertaining fear. When you declare timing, your soul stops rushing ahead or shrinking back. When you declare open doors, your expectation rises to match what heaven is releasing. The Psalms often portray this flow. David would speak of his enemies surrounding him, yet he declared victory long before it manifested. He described closed paths, yet he proclaimed God as the one who makes a way. He faced delay, yet he trusted timing. His declarations were not born from circumstances. They were born from covenant. You carry the same covenant. Breakthrough is more than escape from difficulty. It is the shift that moves your life into alignment with what was written over you. It is the moment when resistance weakens and progress accelerates. It is the point where waiting ends and movement begins. Breakthrough carries the authority of God into the areas where you felt stuck. Favor operates as a covering. It surrounds your life in ways that cannot be explained by effort alone. It brings opportunities to your door. It draws the right connections. It softens the hearts of those assigned to your destiny. Favor does not compete. It distinguishes. It sets apart. It marks your steps with a grace that is visible even to those who do not understand it. Timing ensures that what God gives is received in strength instead of fragility. It shields you from premature exposure. It prepares your character for responsibility. It guarantees that your blessing will not become a burden. When divine timing meets divine favor, breakthroughs become sustainable. Open doors become platforms instead of pitfalls. There are moments when the door remains closed not because you are unqualified, but because the environment behind the door is not ready yet. There are seasons when the path feels blocked, yet God is clearing obstacles you cannot see. There are situations where the silence feels heavy, yet heaven is aligning the unseen pieces of your breakthrough. When the fullness of time arrives, the shift will be undeniable. Declarations align your spirit with this truth. You declare not to convince God, but to remind your heart. You declare not because God is uncertain, but because your faith must stand firm. You declare not to force outcomes, but to embrace what heaven already intends. Your words participate in the unfolding of your destiny. Breakthrough comes to those who expect it. Favor rests on those who value it. Timing guides those who trust it. Open doors welcome those who walk in courage. These four realities shape the movement of God in your life. They work together like currents, guiding you into purpose. Let this truth settle deeply. The season of being overlooked cannot cancel the favor written over you. The years of waiting cannot undo the timing prepared for you. The battles you fought cannot weaken the breakthrough assigned to your name. The doors that remain shut cannot deny the ones God is preparing to open. There is a door ahead that matches your purpose. There is a moment prepared for your rising. There is a timing that aligns with your calling. There is favor that will distinguish you. There is breakthrough that will shift your entire trajectory. These things are not wishes. They are the movements of heaven toward your life. The declarations you carry shape the reality you enter. When you speak breakthrough, you invite movement. When you speak favor, if you invite alignment. When you speak timing, you invite clarity. When you speak open doors, You invite purpose. These words are not empty. They are the echoes of what heaven is already releasing. Your steps are guided. Your doors are prepared. Your breakthrough is unfolding. Your favor is active. And your timing is secure. Fear attempts to weaken the foundations of the heart before any battle even begins. It presses into the mind with suggestions of failure and whispers of uncertainty. Doubt follows, questioning what God has already spoken. Anxiety weaves itself through thoughts until clarity feels distant. Spiritual pressure intensifies, pushing against your peace and trying to force you into retreat. These forces never announce themselves openly. They arrive quietly, hoping to reshape your inner world before your spirit recognizes the attack. Warfare begins with awareness. The moment you discern that these pressures are not natural fluctuations, but spiritual resistance, your posture shifts. You stand differently. You think differently. You speak differently. You realize that fear is not simply an emotion, but an attempt to disconnect you from truth. Doubt is not curiosity, but a whisper designed to weaken your confidence. Anxiety is not sensitivity, but a force attempting to overload your spirit. Spiritual pressure is not coincidence, but strategic opposition against your destiny. Standing firm does not mean ignoring these forces. It means confronting them with truth. Scripture becomes your weapon. Identity becomes your shield. Presence becomes your strength. You answer fear with confidence in God. You answer doubt with certainty in His word. You answer anxiety with the peace that guards your heart. You answer spiritual pressure with the authority that belongs to you. The Psalms reveal this pattern clearly. David faced armies, betrayal, isolation, and threats that could have crushed him. Yet his response was consistent. He anchored himself in truth. When fear surrounded him, he declared that the Lord was his light and salvation. When doubt whispered, and he affirmed that God was the strength of his life. When anxiety tried to overtake him, he poured out his heart before God until peace returned. When pressure mounted, he reminded his soul that God was his refuge, his fortress, his ever-present help. This is not poetic language meant to comfort. It is spiritual strategy meant to empower. Fear weakens when confronted by truth. Doubt dissolves when met with revelation. Anxiety loses power when replaced by peace. Spiritual pressure cracks under the weight of divine presence. These forces only remain strong when they are unchallenged. Your spirit carries authority. You are not the victim of these pressures. You are the one equipped to break their influence. Fear cannot dominate a heart grounded in confidence. Doubt cannot survive where faith is active. Anxiety cannot rule where peace is established. Spiritual pressure cannot overwhelm a life covered by divine strength. Standing firm requires intentionality. You guard your thoughts because you understand that the mind is the first battleground. You guard your emotions because you know they can amplify lies if left unchecked. You guard your words because your declarations shape your internal atmosphere. You guard your posture because spiritual forces observe the state of your heart. Fear often attacks through imagination. It paints worst-case scenarios in vivid detail, hoping you will meditate on them long enough for them to feel real. Doubt attacks through questions that erode confidence. Anxiety attacks through rapid thoughts that crowd out peace. Spiritual pressure attacks through sudden heaviness that does not match your circumstances. Recognition is the first level of victory. The next level is resistance. Resistance is not passive, it is decisive. It is the moment you refuse to agree with these forces. It is the moment you speak truth, even when emotions do not match. It is the moment you choose peace, even when anxiety pushes harder. Resistance is spiritual firmness shaped by truth. It is the refusal to surrender ground that belongs to you. The final level is replacement. You do not simply remove fear. You replace it with boldness. You do not silence doubt. You replace it with conviction. You do not suppress anxiety. You replace it with peace. You do not withstand pressure. You replace it with presence. Replacement ensures the enemy does not return with the same strategy. Warfare is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, internal, steady. It is the choice to stand when your emotions want to collapse. It is the choice to trust when your thoughts want to panic. It is the choice to lift your spirit when pressure tries to push it down. This stand is not made in your own strength. It is made in alignment with God, who fights for you and strengthens you. Fear is a shadow that disappears when truth shines. Doubt is a mist that dissolves when revelation comes. Anxiety is a wave that calms when peace speaks. Spiritual pressure is a weight that lifts when presence enters. These forces are loud only when your spirit forgets its authority. You are not fragile. You are fortified. You are not vulnerable. You are covered. You are not overwhelmed. You are supported. Everything rising against you is met by a power greater than anything you face. Your heart is strong because its strength does not come from emotion. It comes from God. This stand you take is more than defense. It is declaration. It is reclaiming ground. It is restoring clarity. It is revealing to every force of darkness that your spirit cannot be intimidated. Fear will not define your decisions. Doubt will not weaken your faith. Anxiety will not govern your peace. Spiritual pressure will not halt your progress. You stand because you are strengthened. You overcome because you are aligned. You rise because the presence within you is greater than the pressure around you. The shepherd leads with intentionality. He does not guide with uncertainty or hesitation. His direction carries purpose, clarity, and protection. Every step he calls you into is shaped by wisdom far beyond your understanding. When scripture says the Lord is my shepherd, it is describing more than comfort. It is declaring that your life is under divine leadership, not human guesswork. There is a path prepared for you, and the shepherd walks it ahead of you. Divine leading begins in the heart. Before God directs your steps, he aligns your inner world. A heart cluttered with unresolved fears, old disappointments, buried resentment, or lingering confusion cannot discern direction clearly. Cleansing becomes essential not because God demands perfection, but because clarity requires purity. When the heart is cleansed, the inner noise quiets and the shepherd's voice becomes unmistakable. Cleansing is not condemnation, it is restoration. It is the gentle removal of what burdens you. It is the release of what no longer aligns with your destiny. It is the healing of wounds you thought you had to carry forever. It is the letting go of memories that still carry emotional weight. Cleansing is the process that prepares your heart to walk in confidence instead of caution. There are places the shepherd wants to lead you, but the path requires a heart that is free from what once hindered you. Divine alignment cannot happen when the heart is heavy with unresolved layers. Alignment requires openness. It requires willingness. It requires surrender. When you allow God to cleanse your heart, where you create space for his direction to take root. Alignment is not accidental. It is spiritual order. It is the point where your desires, decisions, and direction return to harmony with the purpose God placed inside you. Misalignment creates exhaustion. It keeps you striving without progress. It creates confusion where clarity should be. But when the shepherd brings alignment, everything within you settles into place. Peace returns. Confidence rises. Purpose becomes clear. The Psalms reveal the beauty of being led by the shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Each movement begins with what he does, not what you do. Divine leading is always initiated by God. Your role is to respond. Your responsibility is to yield. You are not expected to guide yourself. You are expected to trust the one who guides. Cleansing of the heart is part of this restoration. It is the renewal that returns you to spiritual health. It is the refreshing that clears away emotional residue. It is the refinement that strengthens your inner posture. When the heart is cleansed, the shepherd's leading becomes an invitation instead of a challenge. You no longer resist direction. You welcome it. Alignment follows cleansing. Once the heart is free from unnecessary weight, direction becomes easy to discern. You begin to recognize the difference between opportunities and distractions. You sense when a door is opened by God or constructed by pressure. You understand when to move and when to wait. You do not panic at uncertainty because the shepherd is near and his guidance is steady. Divine alignment is not only about where you go. It is about who you become while walking the path. The shepherd does not rush your steps. He strengthens them. He prepares your character for what awaits. He refines your motives. He shapes your endurance. He softens your heart so that pressure does not harden you. Alignment ensures that when you step into blessing, you are able to sustain it. There are moments when the shepherd leads you through valleys, not to harm you, but to strengthen you. Valleys deepen trust. Valleys sharpen vision. Valleys remove dependence on external affirmation. Valleys teach you to hear his voice even when the landscape is unfamiliar. The presence of the shepherd is what transforms the valley from a place of danger into a place of preparation. Cleansing often happens in these valleys. The heart becomes honest in the quiet places. Hidden burdens rise to the surface. Old wounds reveal themselves. Emotions once suppressed ask for attention. This is not weakness, it is healing. When the heart is cleansed, the valley becomes the place where strength is reborn. Alignment emerges when you come out of the valley with clarity you did not possess before. You see the path differently. You understand your identity more deeply. You sense the shepherd's nearness with a confidence that quiets uncertainty. What once confused you now makes sense. What once felt heavy now feels purposeful. The shepherd's leading is personal. He does not guide you like a crowd. He leads you like a beloved one. Your steps matter to him. Your heart matters to him. Your alignment matters to him. He is invested in every part of your journey. He walks with you through every terrain, shaping your spirit for the place. He is guiding you toward cleansing of the heart brings clarity. Alignment brings momentum. Leading brings direction. These three work together, forming the rhythm of a life guided by God. You are not wandering. You are being led. You are not lost. You are being refined. You are not drifting. You are being aligned. The shepherd is ahead of you, beside you, and within you, ensuring that every step prepares you for what your destiny requires. This is the confidence you carry. Your heart is being cleansed. Your steps are being aligned. Your shepherd is leading you, and every part of your life is moving into divine order. Loved ones carry a sacred place within the heart. Their battles touch you even when you are not the one fighting them. Their fears weigh on you even when they never speak them aloud. Their needs echo in your spirit because connection makes their well-being part of your own. Prayer becomes the bridge that carries what you cannot fix and places it into the hands of God, who sees more deeply than you ever could. If ever healing for loved ones extends beyond physical restoration, it includes the mending of emotional wounds, the calming of restless minds, the strengthening of tired spirits, and the renewal of hope where discouragement has lingered. Every person you care for walks through invisible valleys. Some hide their pain because they believe silence is strength. Others endure quietly because they do not want to burden anyone. Prayer reaches those silent places. It touches what they never mention. It restores what they think must remain broken. Provision becomes another layer of this intercession. You carry a desire for your loved ones to walk in stability, to have their needs met, to flourish without constant anxiety about tomorrow. Provision is not merely financial, it is mental clarity, emotional balance, relational peace, opportunities aligned with purpose, and strength to navigate each day without feeling overwhelmed. When you pray for provision, you are asking God to fill the spaces of lack with abundance that is tailored to their journey. Daily covering brings protection into their routines. People face environments you cannot control, pressures you cannot anticipate, and spiritual atmospheres you cannot see. A covering over them establishes a shield against harm, confusion, and spiritual attacks. It prepares their steps before they take them. It surrounds them with grace in conversations, wisdom in decisions, and peace in moments where stress tries to rise. A covering turns ordinary days into protected pathways. The Psalms repeatedly affirm that God hears the cries made on behalf of others. David prayed for his family, for his nation, and for those who followed him. His prayers were both protection and prophecy. When he declared that God would command his angels to guard his people, he was speaking a truth that continues to apply to your loved ones. The same protection rests on them when you intercede. Your loved ones are not always aware of how much spiritual support surrounds them. They may not know you pray for their nights when sleep escapes them, or for their minds when anxiety tries to steal their peace. They may not realize you cover their decisions, asking God to guide them away from paths that would wound them. Every prayer you lift becomes unseen reinforcement. It becomes stability beneath their feet. Healing flows where prayer opens the door. You do not need to understand every detail of their struggle. You only need to bring their name before God. He sees what you cannot. He touches the wounds they hide. He restores the strength they lost. He lifts the heaviness that no conversation has been able to ease. Healing is the work of the one who knows the human spirit better than any doctor, counselor, or friend. Provision unfolds. As God expands their capacity, He brings resources into their lives through unexpected means. He aligns opportunities that fit their gifts. He opens doors at the right moment and closes others that would have harmed them. He gives wisdom that improves their decisions and peace that multiplies their strength. Provision equips them not just to survive but to advance. Daily covering forms a barrier over their path. It shields them from danger, both physical and spiritual. It prevents words spoken against them from taking root. It interrupts assignments of fear and discouragement. It gives clarity in confusing moments. It fills their homes with peace. It allows them to move through their day with a sense of calm that they cannot fully explain. Your prayer becomes part of their protection. It becomes part of their healing. It becomes part of their provision. Even when they do not know you are praying, Heaven does. Every petition creates impact. Every word creates covering. Every moment you lift their name shapes their day in ways they may never notice openly but will feel inwardly. This intercession does not require eloquence. It requires sincerity. You are not responsible to fix their lives. You are responsible to place them before the one who can. When you pray for your loved ones, if you align their story with divine purpose, you invite God to move in places they cannot reach. You become a participant in their restoration and progress. Let this truth remain firm in you. Your loved ones are surrounded because you pray. They are protected because you intercede. They are supported because your heart carries them before God. Healing is flowing even now. Provision is aligning even now. Covering is settling even now. Their journey is not unguarded. Their steps are not alone. They walk under the strength of the prayers you lift and the presence that surrounds them. The Psalms endure because they reach the deepest layers of human experience with a clarity that time cannot erode. They speak into fear without dismissing it. They strengthen courage without forcing it. They offer hope without ignoring reality. Their words hold a power that does not fade because they are not merely literature. They are revelation wrapped in poetry, truth expressed in vulnerability, and divine comfort woven into human language. When the heart feels overwhelmed, the Psalms become refuge, a place to rest when everything else demands effort, a place to breathe when life feels tight, a place to settle when your thoughts run faster than your strength can follow. Refuge is not escape. It is preservation. It is the assurance that you remain protected even when life becomes unpredictable. The Psalms reveal refuge not as a distant concept, but as a present experience. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Not later, not eventually, present. Strength emerges in the Psalms, not as something you must generate, but as something you receive. Human strength fluctuates, but divine strength sustains. It holds your spirit steady when emotions shift. It stabilizes your mind when uncertainty presses in. It keeps you standing when circumstances attempt to bend you. Strength in the Psalms is portrayed as a gift. The Lord is the strength of my life. It is not effort-based. It is presence-based. Unshakable hope rises from this combination of refuge and strength. Hope rooted in human desire is fragile. Hope rooted in divine truth is immovable. The Psalms teach you that hope is not a feeling but a position. It is the posture of a heart anchored in God even when answers are delayed. It is the assurance that seasons shift, but His faithfulness does not peak. It is the confidence that valleys are temporary and restoration is certain. Reflecting on the Psalms brings clarity. You begin to see that every human emotion is accounted for. Every cry has a response. Every fear has an answer. Every doubt has a counter. The Psalms cover the spectrum of inner experience because God understands the complexities of the human soul. He is not intimidated by your honesty. He welcomes it. He meets you in it. Many people search for strength in themselves and find only exhaustion. They search for hope in circumstances and find only inconsistency. They search for refuge in people and find only limitation. The Psalms redirect the heart back to the source. God becomes refuge. God becomes strength. God becomes hope. This realignment restores balance to your inner world. When David poured out his fears, he was not diminishing faith, he was grounding it. He understood that faith does not deny weakness. Faith hands weakness to God. He understood that hope does not ignore pain. Hope anchors itself above the pain. He understood that strength does not eliminate battles. Strength carries you through them. These truths shape the Psalms into a mirror for your own journey. Reflect on how often you have returned to these passages in moments of heaviness, not out of habit, but out of recognition. Your spirit knows that the voice of the Psalms stabilizes you. You read them and something shifts. The pressure within you loosens. The noise in your mind quiets. The chaos around you loses influence. This is not psychological comfort. It is spiritual grounding. The Psalms remind you that you are not required to be strong alone. You are not expected to carry every burden with silent endurance. You are not responsible to manufacture hope when life feels bleak. Refuge is available. Strength is accessible. Hope is unshakable. These are not rewards for perfection. They are provisions for humanity. In seasons of uncertainty, the Psalms provide direction. In seasons of grief, they provide comfort. In seasons of transition, they provide stability. In seasons of fear, they provide reassurance. Their words plant unshakable truth into unstable moments. You begin to stand differently after reading them. Your decisions become clearer. Your faith becomes steadier. Your emotional world becomes calmer. There is a reason these ancient words still carry weight. They were birthed in real struggle, real danger, real confusion, real longing. They were not written from ivory towers but from caves, battlefields, palaces, and wilderness. The Psalms reflect a life lived in full exposure to both suffering and glory. That is why they resonate across centuries. They meet humanity where it is and elevate it toward where God stands. Hope in the Psalms is persistent. It refuses to break even under pressure. It remains rooted even when circumstances contradict expectation. It surfaces in the darkest moments with a quiet certainty that God has not left. This kind of hope cannot be shaken because it does not depend on what you see. It depends on who holds you. Refuge strengthens you. Strength stabilizes you. Hope lifts you. This threefold reality creates a foundation that withstands whatever life brings. When you internalize these truths, the storms may continue, but their power to destabilize you weakens. Your heart rests. Your mind settles. Your spirit rises. The Psalms continue to shape you because they remind you of what is true, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. They guide you back to the presence that protects, the strength that carries, and the hope that endures. And in this reflection, you discover that your life is held far more securely than you once realized. Peace settles where the presence of God rests. It is not fragile. It does not depend on circumstances. It does not rise and fall with the patterns of the day. Peace becomes the atmosphere of a heart anchored in truth. It guards your thoughts. It soothes your emotions. It surrounds your inner world with a calm that cannot be stolen by pressure or disturbed by fear. This peace does not come from understanding everything. It comes from trusting the one who governs everything. Favor moves quietly but powerfully. It positions you in rooms you did not strive to enter. It brings opportunities that match your purpose. It softens the hearts of those who hold decisions concerning your future. Favor reshapes outcomes, accelerates progress, and surrounds your steps with divine advantage. When favor rests on you, what was difficult becomes accessible. What was closed begins to open. What was uncertain becomes aligned. Favor is not random. It is intentional movement from heaven over your life. Confidence rises from the assurance that God is with you. Not confidence in your ability, but confidence in His faithfulness. It is the strength that steadies your voice when fear tries to silence you. It is the clarity that anchors your decisions when doubt attempts to shake you. Confidence is the quiet power that comes from knowing you are held, guided, and equipped. When confidence takes root, hesitation loses influence. You begin to move with a stability that reflects divine backing rather than human effort. Daily victory unfolds when peace governs your heart. Favor surrounds your steps, and confidence strengthens your posture. Victory does not always shout. Sometimes it appears in the small moments where you choose faith over fear. Sometimes it shows in the decisions where you choose clarity over confusion. Sometimes it emerges in the moments where you choose trust over anxiety. Victory is the consistent pattern of a life aligned with God, not the occasional achievement of extraordinary days. The Psalms trace this rhythm of blessing. They show that peace comes from resting in God. Favor flows from His presence. Confidence emerges from His promises. And victory arises from His strength. These are not separate experiences. They are interconnected realities forming the foundation of a life that walks with stability and purpose. When your spirit absorbs this truth, the weight of the day loses its power. You begin to move through life with a grounded assurance. Peace brings order to the inner world. It quiets anxieties before they grow. It silences the noise that competes for your attention. It allows you to think clearly and respond wisely. Peace is a gift that protects your emotional strength. Without peace, even simple tasks feel heavy. With peace, even challenges feel manageable. Favor expands the possibilities around you. It moves ahead of you, preparing environments you have not yet entered. It aligns conversations, connections, and circumstances to support what God has placed in your heart. Favor is unseen influence working on your behalf. It ensures that what belongs to you is not lost, and what does not serve you is gently removed. Confidence shapes how you face each day. It removes the trembling that once controlled your decisions. It strengthens your steps. It sharpens your voice. It lifts your posture. Confidence is not pride. It is the expression of trust in a God who has proven Himself faithful. When you walk with confidence, you walk as someone aware that heaven is invested in your journey. Daily victory becomes the natural result of these blessings. Victory is not limited to grand outcomes. It includes moments where peace protects you from emotional collapse. It includes moments where favor opens a door you could not have forced. It includes moments where confidence helps you choose wisdom over fear. Victory is the continual unfolding of divine support woven into your everyday life. Let these blessings settle into your spirit. Peace that rests deeply and endures. Favor that goes before you and surrounds you. Confidence that strengthens you and guides your decisions. Victory that meets you in every step. These blessings are not distant promises. They are present realities for a heart aligned with God. Your journey carries weight. Your life carries purpose. Your steps carry intention. And as you move forward, may peace guard you in the morning. Favor follow you through the afternoon. Confidence strengthen you in the evening. And victory surround you in every moment in between. May your days unfold with clarity. May your heart remain steady. May your path open with ease. May your strength be renewed as needed. May your life reflect the goodness you have received. And may you walk into each new day with assurance that you are covered, guided, equipped, and supported in every way